Alright peeps, what we are getting into today is MPS spider system. Forgive the little squiggles and stuff. This is what it is. I'm going to go over all of the directions and everything that are already in here are all good to go. I'm just catching you up on some little bullshit stuff here and there, like blah 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 blah. Perfectly fine. First thing it tells you in the directions on, I believe, the second page. They show you here, this is a picture of the airbox. This little picture here is more or less the nozzle that is going to, well, the connection of the nozzle that's going to come out the side of your airbox that you hook your nitrous line into. What they do not show you or tell you about anywhere in here is when you line this up, these 4 tubes are going to come out of the distribution block, go through the jets, into the tubes that they've built here for the spider system. When they tell you about mounting it with the nuts and the bolts, well, yeah, the nuts and the washers, because it bolts in through the actual distribution block. That's what you're mounting. They don't mention that if you take the air box that you're using and flip it over the other way so that you're looking into the holes instead of the picture direction that they're showing you down through the air filter, you'll find that most of the holes that are on the bottom where the rubber boots are that hook onto your air intake, those are not in the center of the box. Makes sense because the box has to fit in a certain area and the air intakes are probably off to the left or right. I'll give you an example. I have out my K&N air filter out of the box, or out of the air box. This is what they show you. This is what you need to look at. Now you see the spacing? See how that port on that side is like right up against the edge of the air box? This one has a gap. Now, keeping that in mind, you'll notice mine's already in there. You have to bear with me, the camera is reversed, so the words and shit all come up right there. You know what I'm saying? Mine's in there, mounted, all pretty, all great, ready to go. So what they don't tell you is if you use the center of the air box on the top when you take the air cleaner out, you're going to run into a problem because the entire thing is shifted off to one side. Now those little metal tubes they have on there for the spider system don't line up with the holes anymore. So before you start drilling and cutting to mount the damn thing, flip it upside down. Look where the center of the 4 ports are. Don't pay attention to the air box. Even though that it's kind of obvious when you look at the air cleaner part where the middle is, don't use that. I did. And you end up having to cut 3, 4 different holes, and then you end up with a big nasty gap and no plastic to hook to. You got to break out the fiberglass or your plastic weld and put it all back together so you can drill more holes so you can, okay, you get the idea. Guess what I had to do. But because of them saying just to mount it, and the first thing you pop up with in your head is, well, put it right in the middle, and that's where it's supposed to go. If you don't turn that little bad boy over and look, you're pretty much screwed. Another thing on mine, for a 2001 Hayabusa, there is a notch inside, well, not a notch, it's more like a dip in the front. The air box comes across, and then it comes down and around, and then comes back up and goes across. Now, that doesn't really seem like it's that big of a deal until you go to put that little distribution block in there. And guess what? That little notch is in your way. So then, again, with the holes and blah, blah, blah. Keep that in mind. The third thing in the listing, when you go online and check it all out, it'll tell you about the short stacks on the inside of the air box that you have to get. Before you even order, before you make your list of stuff that you want to put on your bike, open your air box. Some of them already have short stacks, and if you're getting it used, obviously I did, there's already short stacks in there. So pretty much anybody needs a set of 2 short rubber inserts. I have them brand new because I bought them without looking, and now I have them, and I don't need them. They were already short to begin with. So that'll take you all the way up till you've got it mounted. The jets, when you put them in, you're going to have a little bit of a hard time finagling the box, the distribution block, down inside there, because once you tighten down the connector, the bolt that holds the jet and everything in on them little tubes, it gets really tight. And to make it so that it's not tight and you can move or twist those tubes up and down, you have to keep them loose. The problem you're going to run into there is if you make it so that you can move it around inside and get everything all lined up, when it comes time to tighten them back down again, there's no room, especially on the 01 Hayabusa, because my airbox doesn't split into 2 pieces. Some of them do. I'm jealous of you guys, but some of them do split into 2, and then you could just take the other half, flip it over, put a wrench on it, crank it down nice tight, because in the notes they will say, and I believe they mentioned it a couple times in the airbox part, the jets inside your engine, as in they vibrated and fell out, not a good thing. No. Valves do not like nitrous oxide jets. Guarantee that. So you definitely want to get it tight. You definitely want to assure yourself it's not going to fall apart, but be ready to fight and twist and hire a little midget or somebody to get their hand down in there with some kind of micro wrench, because there is no room whatsoever. You cannot, I'm stressing not, get anything down in there. Not to mention the fact that 2 distribution sides, like the block has 2 on the left and 2 on the right, they're so close together that if you do get a wrench on there, you're first of all not going to have a lot of room to move it, and second of all, the area that you can move it, if you get it on there, is like an inch. And then of course once you move it that inch and you take the wrench off and you go to put it back on, it won't go back on because it only moved an inch. You can't hook it again to tighten it down. So keep that in mind. You might want to either come up with another idea, or you're going to have to sacrifice the nice looking anodized color they have on there and use vice grips or pliers, or I myself used the generic dollar store long needle nose pliers and purposely bent the end of it so that I can twist them and get them on there. And yes, I scratched the livid shit out of the blue anodized coating that's on there. So after that, you have to put the little blue, it's not really a distribution, it's just a connection where you put the nitrous into the air box. That by itself isn't that big of a deal. Just make sure that you don't have it too close or too far away from the distribution block, because the part that they give you, which is the silver line with the angle on one end, you have to use it up. You know what I mean? You can't put the blue connector through the box where it sticks on the outside. You can't put it right next to the distribution block, because the piece that they give you is 8 inches, and it's steel braided Ethernet. You can't kink it, you can't swirl it around in a circle and whatnot. And I'm talking about this part right in here. You've got the little piece that hooks the distribution block, and it zigzags through your airbox and comes out the side. Now they don't show you any of this in here. They just tell you to mount that someplace that you can get to it and hook your line from your nitrous system into it. Keep in mind to measure out that piece that they give you, the hose. And what I did was I ran it down farther than I wanted to, but I made it come around, and then they have an angle on the end, and then hook that in over here, which would be the other way. But that'll give you all your things to look out for on your way from buying it taking it out of the box and oohing and on over this cool thing that you have, and then pulling your hair out because there's little things that it's going to pop up. It's going to cause you problems. Well, that's where I'm up to so far. I will next, let me see, in their directions here, be doing some of the wiring and stuff. Probably not going to do exactly what they want because I'm me. I do it my way. Anything else pops up, I'll make another note and I'll shoot this back out to you guys and let you see what's going on. Later.